Hey guys, what's happening? So we're getting back into Philip K. Johnson's Hulk series, and I'm gonna tell you right now, this one it gets a little dark, and that's all I'm gonna say before we get started. So there's that. And part of that has to do with us now reaching the long-awaited point, with the Hulk now making his way to Vegas and meeting face to face with the Eldest. So yeah, let's dive in. But first, if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications. Alright, so coming back, we return to Las Vegas to make our way to the rooftop of the Pyramid Hotel and Casino building that I'm not really sure if they're still calling the Luxor, because sometimes Marvel labels it and sometimes they don't. But on the top of this building, we find two young girls who practically left everything behind to make it here in Vegas, but that didn't exactly work out. So now they're just ready to throw it all away. But before they do, they're approached by a guy who makes friendly conversation. He even recognizes one of their accents from the upper northwest, and he asks them what brought the two of them here to the desert so far from home. So they end up telling him their story about how they knew a guy who said he was going to put them in a movie, but sadly he just took advantage of them. So this guy tells them there are others like you here, pursued greatness only to be abused or cast aside. If you can trust a stranger just one more time, I'll give you what you came for. So the two of them go with him inside. They take the elevator and they head down to what appears to be the -6th floor, which to their surprise reveals that there are caves under Vegas. So this guy tells them these caves go on for miles. Not all of them have even been explored except by us. The natives who lived here before us kept them sacred and filled them with their treasures. And as he's explaining this, they make their way into this room filled with various different people. And inside this room, there's a chair or throne with a huge wolf bat looking thing, which is very significant in relation to something Betty Ross mentioned not too long ago. And we'll talk more about who and what this is, as well as where they actually are in a little bit. But in the here and now, when they see this thing, as crazy as it looks, they just go with it. And as they head further into this huge room, one of these girls by the name of Katie, she looks around and she asks, who are these people? So this guy, he goes on to say, they're discarded idols, like you. People who followed their dreams, came here and found each other. To be beautiful, to buy and sell the world, to be the greatest, to be a star. And tonight, they've all come to see you. So the other girl, Becky, she steps forward and she's asking, is it like a stage? Are we supposed to do a scene for everybody or sing? And she's not sure if she's quite ready to do something like that, because just before this, she was doing a lot of crying. But this guy just tells her, don't worry, we've all done this. It's gonna love you. So Becky has a seat in the chair. And for a moment, she's like, wow, it's warm up here. Hot almost. Why is it so? And then this wolf thing just bites down on top of her head. So of course, Katie, she flips out, as the guy who brought them here goes on to say, welcome little discarded thing. Until the moon is full, the house of Lycana worships only you, and this city of idols is your hunting ground. Which, man, that definitely took the horror up a few notches, but it's not over. And next, we jump forward 30 days later, where we find the Hulk who's made his way to Vegas. And you know, just seeing the Hulk walk down the Vegas Strip, it reminds me of back when we were talking about the origin of Joe Fixit and how that persona was created when everyone believed the leader had killed the Hulk. So Joe Fixit was him starting a new life out here. And I got that link in the description for anyone who needs to check it out. But yeah, just seeing the Hulk strolling through Vegas, that just made me think of that. But while he's here just strolling through the streets, making all kind of noise by just walking regular, people are pulling out their phones, taking pictures, and eventually an officer approaches him and he tells the Hulk, we can't have you just tearing up the street like this. Can we get you a truck or something? And that just has me thinking, like, why does that sound like one of those motorized buggies at the grocery store? But the Hulk doesn't hang around here for long, because as soon as he sees the top of the Luxor building light up with a green glowing beam, he leaps over there. And it's pretty clear to the officers and the onlookers that somebody's expecting him. But as soon as he arrives, he's greeted by a doorman who's not too easy on the eyes, who tells the Hulk ma'am is expecting him, but the front entrance is not for him. She awaits below. So the Hulk makes his way down. And as he does, we go over to Bruce here for a moment, in his mindscape, where we see him having this conversation with Betty, who, like we saw before, she's working with the Eldest. Because from the start of this series, the Eldest has been trying to use Betty as a strategic tool to get to Bruce so the Eldest can get the Hulk. Because once that happens, the Eldest will be able to free the Mother of Horrors. And as far as what we've been told from Bruce's perspective, this all just fell in line with Betty being mad at him. which also fell in line with one of the reasons why the Hulk's mad at Bruce, since he tried to cure Betty of her gamma transformations and get rid of her Harpy persona. But in the bigger picture, Betty was mad at Bruce, her father, the government, because she felt as if everyone was using her as a pawn. And now that she's working with the eldest, on the surface it's kind of like, okay, so how is this different? And I mean, there's also this thing where Betty mentioned that the eldest promised she would give their lives back, give their normal lives back if Betty could get Bruce to hand over the Hulk. But it also seems as if there's a bit more to Betty as far as why she's doing what she's doing that she hasn't shared yet. But getting closer to what's happening now. While the Hulk was making his way to Vegas to save Charlie, in Bruce's mind he was approached by Betty, who told him when the Hulk reaches the Temple of Lycana, you will be faced with a choice: either condemn Charlene Tidwell to a monstrous inhuman existence, or cut the mark of the eldest into your flesh and give up the Hulk, which, as we know, this would give the eldest access to the power of the One Below All, which is what the eldest needs to free the Mother of Horrors. So coming back to the present, when the Hulk enters the Temple of Lycana, Betty shows up again, telling Bruce it's almost time. And much like before, Bruce doesn't believe that this is actually Betty. But aside from that, he lets her know that he's not trusting anyone with the Hulk because that's absurdly dangerous. So she tells him, if you don't, it'll be Charlie who pays the price. Hulk made a mistake coming here. Eldest set this up from the beginning, like a chess game. In moments, you'll have to choose between Hulk and the kid you came here to save. So now it's like Bruce isn't sure if he can afford not to trust her, because time's running out and he's gonna have to make a choice. But as the Hulk makes his way deeper inside, he's greeted by a voice that says it knew he would come, and it asks the Hulk if he knows where he is. And it goes on to say, this cavern was once a temple to Lycana, daughter of my own flesh, mother to skinwalkers in all their forms. It is one of precious few places where you might give your little companion new life. And when the Hulk makes his way to this part of the temple, there's a bunch of huge creatures, bodies just hanging from the ceiling, with one of them being the same as the body we saw back in issue 1, when the eldest returned and took over the body she's using now. And though they don't talk about it specifically here, I just wanted to point it out. Because next we get a bit of a back and forth between the Hulk and the eldest, because right away he calls her by name. So she responds saying more or less like, oh, you remember me. So Hulk just tells her, never saw you before. But the eldest goes on to say, I knew you nearly 4,000 years ago. We died together. Our bones were entombed together. There are none, living or dead, who know you better than I, fractured son. So the Hulk just pulls out Charlie's figurine that she's trapped in, and he sets it aside, saying, all I know about you is that this is your fault. And right there, the eldest is like, the bare spot in the armor is where the blade must go. You would blame me for this? Because just like the new Ghost Rider had mentioned, Charlie was going to be the Hulk's weak spot. And that's precisely what the eldest went after. So right here, the Hulk's just like, yeah, I blame you. What you mean? So the Hulk goes in to hit her and nothing happens, because every time he tries, when the dust clears, she's just standing there. So the eldest tells him, I am the first and strongest of our kind. You lack the strength to harm me. Which for the Hulk, he's just like, okay, all that means is I don't have to stop. So he keeps going, and yet again, nothing. And it's right here where the eldest tells him, you think this stripling mortal form is all I am. This flesh is but a garment. See my true form, little thing. As she touches him on the forehead and shows the Hulk that she out here. And she goes on to tell him there are stronger things in the dark than thee, which is a warning that we've heard prior to this. So we knew the Hulk wasn't going to be able to just smash his way right through this, meaning the answer to this immediate problem is going to be a bit more complex. But it also brings back something that I feel like we've talked about before as far as the Hulk being the strongest there is, because on one hand, though his strength is unlimited, if the Hulk runs into somebody who's at a higher base strength level, they're not going to wait for him to get up to where they are and then pass them. And that's where the problem usually lies, whenever it seems like the Hulk is outmatched by someone using strength alone. And this also applies to the different Hulk personas, because they're not each as strong as the other. But right here, after knocking the Hulk through a wall, the eldest goes on to say, we needn't quarrel, fractured son. You brought the girl to the house of Lycana to bring her back from the dead, so she will be. Not only will they restore her, they will make her strong. She will become one of them. So of course, when Banner hears this, he's flipping out. He's telling the Hulk to get Charlie out of here. Don't let them make her a monster, because at the end of the day, both Bruce and the Hulk feel responsible for Charlie. So then it's here where the eldest makes her offer to the Hulk, cause she tells him he can either give the girl to the Skinwalkers or surrender his flesh to the eldest. So now it just brings us to this point where both Bruce and the Hulk have been put in the position where it's like, okay, who's gonna betray who first? Because right now when we go back to Bruce and Betty, she's telling him that the Hulk can't win this. The eldest is too strong. And the only way to restore Charlie as she was, mortal and unspoiled, is to surrender. So she then shows him the contract, where once spoken the words become prophecy, a law of the natural world. So all Bruce would have to do is say the words, sign, and betray the Hulk, so that Charlie Tidwell could be saved. And you know, it's like the more I see of this, it just has me thinking like, I don't know if Betty would go that low. But in the here and now, Bruce doesn't even have the time to try to find out if this is actually Betty or not. So he just hangs his head and says, Hulk, I'm sorry, as he starts to read the contract. As it says, in exchange for the restored body and soul of Charlene Tidwell, I forever surrender my flesh to the eldest, which now just has the eldest telling the mother of horrors that she got him, and soon mother will be free. Which now this just has me thinking, because I'm not necessarily sure if this is good for the eldest, because it just might backfire. Because there's a lot of seeds planted that could turn into something later, whether it's the eldest having her bones entombed with the other fractured son, or a plot twist that happens with Betty. So yeah, there's no telling where this could go, but it just might get worse before it gets better. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.